Hello, I'm Donna Nova, the Transdimensional Twin Flame and the Afterlife Artist. You are inside my sacred space, and what I have in view are some of my channeled visionary paintings. These are mixed media and they have crystals attached, these two. I also have crystals available for purchase, such as this carnelian and blue chalcedony geode. I love carnelian, I love blue chalcedony, I love geodes, and this is a giant geode egg. But what I came here to tell you guys is just a little nudge from my guides today to talk really quickly about your miracle mindset. And I call it that because there's a certain type of mindset that really helps you when you're having a spiritual journey, a spiritual awakening, an interdimensional or transdimensional relationship, or after death communication. It could be mediumship, but it can also be anybody, not a professional medium. Anybody can receive communication from loved ones in spirit. So I was thinking about why my partner Chris and I are successful in such depth on our journey of after death communication. He crossed the veil in 2021, and we instantly began communicating in multitudes of different ways. And I knew that we were partially successful because I was guided to take mediumship classes 14 months before he passed. I didn't know why. I didn't know he was going to pass. That wasn't part of my thinking. I was just following my internal guidance, which is my higher self, my spirit guides. I always follow that guidance, those nudges, those feelings. Even if you don't really know what they are, I know I have really good intuition at this point, so I just go with it. So when he passed and we started to immediately communicate in so many different ways, part of the reason it worked for us is because I was open to it. I had the mindset of being open to it. In fact, the first thing I did as soon as I found out that he passed, well, I don't remember everything, but we were long distance, so I had to get a phone call that he had passed to find out. I went into our chat on Facebook Messenger and I told him to please come back. I knew that he would do his best to communicate with me and to merge his soul with me, with my soul, if he could. We are twin flames. Twin flames come and incarnate on Earth in two separate bodies, but we share the same soul. So even though we are two completely, we're completely ourselves. We're not like incomplete humans. Each of us is a complete person in our own rights, but we have the same soul origin. And that's why twin flames have a special thing where they meet each other and they activate each other, and at least one of them will have a spiritual awakening normally. So all these crazy metaphysical, spiritual, non-physical interactions and psychic abilities will start to come online sometimes. So that was one of the reasons we succeeded with after-death communication after he crossed the veil. We were twin flames, and twin flames are always connected like that. We were able to communicate via the non-physical even when he was physically alive. We already had practice doing that because we're twin flames, and sharing the same soul means you're on the same frequency. So you can very easily tap in and communicate in your dreams, telepathically. You can feel each other's energy. It's the closest connection you can imagine at a soul level. So all these factors are great. I was set up for success on this journey because of it. And I was also set up because of how we chose to incarnate, with all these psychic abilities so that we could very adeptly accomplish this transdimensional union and this interdimensional relationship. So I was set up for success for this from the moment I was born. When I was born 2 months premature, and I only weighed 2 pounds 11 ounces, and I almost died. So for 2 months, I had to stay in an incubator. And I was between life and death for quite a while. So that was my near-death experience. That, you've heard people talk about it. It wasn't conscious I wasn't conscious of this. Like, I didn't really think about it as I got older as a near-death experience. You know what I mean? It was just the story of how I was born. But looking back on it, with all of the natural abilities that I have, part of them are because I'm a twin flame. Part of them, it's because I had, I believe, the near-death experience. So my guides were training me during those months after I was born to be a transdimensional human like I am now, because I lived between dimensions for quite a while at the beginning of my life. So this is all great, but what I came here to talk about is that's not the only thing that made us successful on this journey of interdimensional communication. The thing that really makes anybody successful is their mindset. It's their attitude, it's their beliefs, and those beliefs will create behaviors. Those behaviors and those thoughts that created the behaviors can create patterns of behavior and patterns of thinking, and these patterns can follow a person throughout their whole life. But they're not following you, they are what you've chosen. Maybe in younger life, these patterns were adopted because that was a coping strategy, for getting through childhood. We all have those. But after a while, when you become an adult, at a certain point, if you're able to, it's good to examine what you've been doing and thinking your whole life. If your beliefs are actually true, if they're helpful. One way to know if something is true is whether it helps you or not. The truth can be pleasant or unpleasant, but the universe, even when you're having the hardest time ever, I firmly believe the universe is working for your highest good, even if you're going through some kind of trial or test, because we came here to Earth to learn. And getting through these things is the exact reason why we came. We didn't come to have vacation time. Earth is not a vacation planet, it's a school. So when we've come up with these repeating patterns of behavior, repeating patterns of thought, repeating beliefs, we have to keep choosing those over and over. We're different people all the time. You vibrate differently. You're a different version of yourself. Every time you make a change to yourself, you've changed your past, because the past, present, and future are not really consecutive. They are simultaneous. So, if you can think of in quantum terms, in terms of non-linear time, non-linear space, interdimensionality, just open your mind and consider some of these concepts, even if they sound crazy. Because that's the point of this video. The reason this works so well for me and Chris is because I believed it would. I knew it would. I had to learn to trust my psychic gifts because they opened up a lot after he passed. So I didn't know I had clairaudience, which is psychic hearing, until I started to ask him questions and I would hear the answer in my head. And it took me a while to really trust that, even when it started to sound like his voice instead of my voice in my head. there would be times where the stuff I would hear, I would end up having it proven correct. He would do something to prove to me in the physical that what I had heard was accurate, so that I could learn to trust what I heard, because I needed to get on with it and stop questioning myself, stop questioning what was happening, and start helping other people do this as well. We needed to sort of hit the ground running so that we could start our Facebook group. We have a group called the Transdimensional Twin Flame on Facebook for people who are having these kinds of relationships. They're, interdimensional relationships, after death communication. And if they aren't having that yet, but they want to, it's also for them. So my partner Chris needed me to understand really quickly that we were doing this and it was real. So he made it really easy by doing things constantly that told me it was real. And I don't have enough time to go into all that. That's not really the point of this video. I do have other videos that talk about that. But this video was more about my mindset. I was open. And I've been open-minded my whole life, but not as much as I am now. I thought I knew what was going on because I was intelligent and I had critical thinking skills, but I wasn't completely tapped into the fact that there's a non-physical reality. And I wasn't tapped into the other dimensions in a way that I could that I was aware of. So I was focused on the physical world, which we all are. But when I had my spontaneous awakening in 2015, when my partner Chris and I started really talking to each other, because that's what twin flames do, one of them usually awakens. I got way more open-minded after that, because I had my own experience waking up spiritually inside the violet flame in a meditation that I was doing on YouTube. When we got to the part where I stepped inside the flame, I awakened. And when I awakened, I was inside the womb of the universe, is what I would call it. I said it's like a womb. It's dark and nice and quiet and peaceful and blissful. And the message that I got was that, everything's fine. It was just the support of the universe. It was the love of everything. And it encircled me, and it was just velvety and soft and comforting. And what I have come to learn by taking multitudes of classes with different experts over the years is that was the black light. You've heard of the white light. There's also the black light and the clear light. And black light is said to be source or God. So that's the energy that I woke up into. And that opened my mind. Because once you have an experience like that, you can't go back. You can't unsee it. You can't unknow what you know. So I then had an innate understanding of a lot of deep spiritual concepts that a lot of people have a problem or struggle to understand or believe. But I had been in that energy, so I'd gotten, downloads about that, even though I wasn't really consciously aware of it. I just innately understood certain spiritual concepts after that. And I also learned how to heal my chronic depression and anxiety. So when I awakened, I was at one of the worst parts of my life. It was a very dark night of the soul. I was grieving my father's passing, and because I wasn't connected to the metaphysical or any of the other dimensions at that point, I didn't know there was an afterlife. I don't really call it the afterlife. I mean, I do, because everybody knows what that is, but it's not technically after this life. It's just the next part of this incarnation. It's where we came from, though, so it was pre-life. It was where we were before we came here. So, I had learned to become more open-minded when I had healed my own depression and anxiety. And I had had depression and anxiety my whole life, like severely. So I started a Facebook group for support for other people with those issues. And I ended up having about 6,000 members at the most. And for about, I don't know, like 9 years, maybe 8 years, I ran that group. And in the process, I figured out how to cure my depression and anxiety with meditation and shadow work, which is deep introspection, and changing my beliefs, changing my thoughts, changing my attitude. I could reframe things so that, I didn't have to see everything in a particular way just because I had in the past. Not everything that happened to me was bad, it was just very uncomfortable. Um, Not like it was right. I had some really bad, had bad stuff happen to me, but when you get to higher levels of consciousness, you understand that good and bad don't have the same meaning. Sometimes something that feels really bad or that had a really negative consequence here at at a certain point in your life ends up being something that led you to the best thing in your life. You can't judge events when they happen because you don't know if something's going to happen later that tells you, oh, that was leading me towards what I really wanted. I thought breaking up with my fiance was the worst thing that ever happened, but it turns out it was because I was meant for something even better for me. You can do that about anything in your life. You can look back sometimes and see that it really wasn't something that was happening to you, it was happening for you. So I had that mindset. I had learned it when I was healing my own depression and anxiety. And then I started to meditate. Didn't know that that would change my life, but for 2 months after I started meditating is when I had my spontaneous awakening. And this was all in 2015. So what I've noticed is the people who don't heal from depression and anxiety have something in common with the people who don't seem to feel that they're getting much after-death communication. Now, they might be getting it and just not realize it. I've said that so many times that you really need to be open-minded about what after-death communication looks like. You may not hear the person talking to you. You may not feel the vibrating, buzzing energy like I do. Some people feel them messing with their hair. Some people get signs in the form of music. Some people see a symbol that is important to them, like heart-shaped clouds or just hearts in general anywhere. Synchronicities happen. There's an endless amount of things that they can do, and everybody's communication looks different, right? So we're having this communication, and it's because I have learned to have a miracle mindset. I knew that mediumship was real. I knew all these things were possible. I had already been to the black light of Source. I'd already been studying spirituality for 6 years when my partner passed. And in those years, I learned to have an open mind and not judge. Not judge myself, not judge other people, not judge their behavior. Even if I don't like it, it's not my place to judge it, because for all I know, that behavior is exactly what leads them to a breakthrough. For all I know, that behavior is necessary for them to learn something. Maybe they overcome it themselves later. Maybe they came here to incarnate as a person who does these things so that other people can fight against it. Like some of the people that we consider the worst people in the world, the ones that hurt everybody. Sometimes they came here to illuminate the darkness so that we can fight against it with the light. And you really can't judge. So many people judge everybody. And I understand it, because there's some really dark, negative feeling energy on this planet, which is why the light workers, the star seeds, the twin flames, the volunteers, that's why we've come to help raise the frequency and change the mindset of the people on this planet so that society can thrive. Instead of divide and conquer, like win-lose situations where you win, I lose, I win, you lose. We need to have situations where we all win. It needs to be win-win. That's the energy of New Earth. And what I have noticed is the people who are already in that 5D, which means fifth density, the people who are in the new energy of New Earth are the open-minded people who aren't judging. They're not judging themselves. They're not judging other people. And they have this open mindset. The people that do struggle with anxiety, depression, and having a lack of spiritual experiences, including after-death communication, are people who do not have that open mind enough to have a belief that they're going to be able to do this. A lot of them put themselves in their own prisons. I've noticed the same behavior. It's an overlap of the Venn diagram of the same sets of people. Because people who have the mindset that this is going to work, it works. You are the co-creator of your own reality. And my partner Chris has told me since he passed that we create our own realities more so than we think, not less. It's a co-creation with spirit, and you are collaborating with everybody here on this planet. We're all connected, and we all came here to play parts in each other's lives, like players on a stage, like actors in a play. And you can make this reality reflect much more of what you want than you understand that you can. But it takes a mindset first. The successful mindset has to be in place before anything else is in place. So you can read all the books you want. You can take classes. You can join groups about this. And you can watch podcasts. But if you really want to succeed, it's not about intellectualizing it. Do those things to learn the terms and learn what's possible. Follow our pages in our group, in our video, to see what's possible, and then we'll tell you some tips of how we did it. We'll give you examples of what it looks like to have a successful relationship between dimensions. But ultimately, you have to believe you can do it. You have to have this miracle mindset. I knew Chris was going to do everything he could, and I knew it was real and possible. So I had to learn to believe in myself, to believe in him, to believe that we could co-create this reality and that the things I wanted could happen. And they did. All the things that you would want to have with your partner across the veil, even visiting them across the veil. I can bilocate and visit him. All those things are possible only if you let yourself believe they are. And if you have a closed mind and think that it's not going to happen for you, or that it'll happen for everybody else but you, that's a red flag. If you're one of those people who thinks that everybody else can do stuff but you can't, like it works for everybody else but not me, that's you and your own limiting beliefs that are doing that. That's not true. That's never going to be true. You're limiting yourself. So my first advice for you would be, if you're a person who's addicted to science and logic and thinking everything through with your ego mind, you're going to have to break out of that habit and get into feeling your partner in spirit, get into feeling your higher self. Go start meditating. Stop thinking so much. You don't need to think 24/7. You're not even supposed to. Your egoic mind doesn't have all the answers, and it never will. It's not supposed to. You're supposed to tap into your higher heart, your higher mind, your higher self. And then you can tap into your higher guidance. That's where it comes from. But only if you believe it. So if you don't have that miracle mindset that these things can happen, they won't happen. They just won't, because you're stopping it. So if you have a bad attitude about this, If you have a victim mentality and you're always complaining about how hard this is, but you're not really working on believing that it's possible to do it, you're just spinning your wheels, and you're going to keep complaining for the rest of your life with really no progress because of your own mindset. So I would say do shadow work, deep self introspection about what do you really believe. What do you want to believe? I would say pick what you want to believe and figure out a way to talk yourself into believing it. Give yourself enough evidence, write it down, start journaling, write down your beliefs, and then disprove them. And write statements that prove a more positive belief. A belief that actually suits you and suits your needs. Beliefs are not always true, but you make them true. If you believe you're going to fail, and you're always going to fail, and everybody else is always going to get everything and you won't, that's what you get. What if you believed that everything's amazing, things are always working out for you even when they're difficult, that there's a long-term plan that will unfold in divine timing, and that your loved ones that have crossed into spirit are still alive, they just don't have physical bodies. And if that's the case, they can still communicate with you. Energy doesn't disappear, it just changes forms. Science has already proven that consciousness survives physical death. It's not up for debate anymore. It's just a fact. So, really, the mindset is the thing you need to take care of before you do anything else. Watch people talking about this to help you with your beliefs. It can help you with your beliefs to watch somebody who's already gone through this. I've had to change all my beliefs. I wasn't always talking like this. I didn't know what was going on after we pass over. I didn't know there was an afterlife. I'm not religious. I was never religious. So I had no idea that this was real. But I learned. And I had an open mind. So please address your mind. If you haven't really thought about your own mindset, be mindful of it. When you tell yourself a story or a little script about how horrible everything is, how sad you are, and how your person's just gone, maybe you should think about that, because you're making it true. They can't do anything for you when you've blocked them with your belief that they're not there. You're the one in charge of letting them in or keeping them out. They are there for you, but you have to adopt the miracle mindset. It is like a miracle what's going on with my partner and me. I have endless stories of things that people can't even believe, but they're all true. And it's because I had this mindset from the beginning that this was going to happen. I knew him, I trusted him, I knew myself, I trusted us, and it happened. So hopefully that helps you. It is all about your mindset. You get to choose, okay? You get to choose. It doesn't matter what happens in your external world. You get to choose how you respond in your internal world. All right, thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Facebook. My private group is the Transdimensional Twin Flame. My public page is the Transdimensional Twin Flame Living in Two Dimensions. I'm also known as the Afterlife Artist. And I do have a public page called Afterlife Art, which is all the art that I've made digitally to represent what it's like when I travel to the other side of the veil. I also have a page called the Afterlife Artist, similar thing. I have a page called the After Death Communication Phenomenon, and this YouTube channel, the Transdimensional Twin Flame. And I've got some more projects in the works, some collaborative projects. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching.